Hello and welcome to another tutorial which gets less exciting by the minute. Just a quick recap before we go into our actual tutorial. I was looking through, there's actually another method to doing this, and you can actually use advanced motion tracking methods. It's not really advanced, I'm just saying it because it sounds cool. You can actually use an adjustment layer by using the same method as duplicating a layer. But instead you just use an adjustment layer and then you apply the mosaic effect to the adjustment layer and do your masking on the adjustment layer, and it's basically the same as if you were duplicating the layer. So if you didn't want to duplicate the footage, or you had like a big project and you didn't want to have to be duplicating footage here and there, you could just use an adjustment layer and it will sort a lot of your problems out. And you'd have something amazing like this.
Yeah, I could have got you.
But also my settings I actually used. I didn't actually use these in the previous tutorial, but 45 by 45 and sharp colors works quite well. It kind of gives you that sort of effect, and if you turn the sharp colors off, you're kind of left with a sort of bland look, which is why my example last time didn't look amazing, but sharp colors generally gives you a good look. Anyway, so here we are in our advanced face pixelation tutorial, and this is where things get a little advanced. I'm giving you false hope, basically. So the footage we're going to be working with is this footage here. Yeah, his dog's just died. So, this guy here is just walking down and, his dog's died and that's why he's sad. I'm assuming that's why. I mean, he looks quite happy there. And then he kind of just gets more sad towards the end of it because he just realised, little Max isn't coming back. So, we want to basically, pixel out his face, but we don't want to use the same method as before because, there's a lot of movement, and if you're like me, you're kind of lazy, you don't want to be, using the methods before, keyframing and all that stuff. Well, it's going to be a mix of that, but, this also overcomplicates the whole method as well. It may not be ideal for this shot, but I'm just using this as an example. Anyway, I'll go into more detail about that. So we go to motion tracking, and we want to motion track the source. So we'll select the source, and we want to track the motion. Now for this particular shot, we're going to track just the position. We're going to leave out the rotation and the scale. They don't actually matter too much. And depending on how versatile your footage is, you may need to try these, but for this shot, position is fine. And what we're going to do, we're actually going to track his nostril. It's, it's an ideal place for this sort of thing. Okay, and now I'm just going to track forward. Now for this, it doesn't matter if it's not perfect. The track just has to sort of stay around that area. It doesn't have to be precise. So hence what's happening now, it doesn't matter too much. Now what we can actually do is, if your track's not perfect, where it's going like from here to there, there's little things you can do. For example, I'll probably just do them now. I tend to go around about halfway here and then just sort of bring the point back down again and then just track backwards. Sometimes sorts it out, but it only has to stay around the area. As long as it stays in the area, it's okay, but this would be okay for now. Next stage, we need to make a new null object. And now we need to basically put our tracking data into this null object. What the null object does is it holds the tracking data. So it takes all this information, stores it into this little null object which never gets seen, and then you can basically apply the null object to. I'll just show you. So we edit the target, select the null object, apply X and Y, OK. And now if you see, this little null object will basically stay around the area and kind of follow his face. And that's exactly what we want. So now the next step, very easy, new, adjustment layer. And now we're going to use the pen tool and just sort of draw a mask around his head. Now some people can be quite detailed with this. For this particular shot it's not ideal because the motion tracking is going to be all over the place, but if you've got a perfect motion tracker you could probably just sort of, you know, go around this and sort of go in detail, but you know, when it comes to face pixelations and stuff, I like them quite rough anyway. I guess it depends on your preference. So this is what we're going to do, my way. We're going to just do a big sort of circular thing around the top, and now we're just going to parent using this little pick whip here to the null object. Now watch what happens. The mask stays relatively close to his face, and that's without actually doing any sort of keyframing yet. Now of course this isn't perfect, there's a few problems here and there, that's due to the bad motion tracking, but we can fix that. Just press M to bring up the mask path, and now we can just basically move the mask, we can change the size, and it will run along the null's motion track data and our own mask path. So we turn the mask path on, and we want to move this up. Okay, so we'll move it there. And we just want to move this there. And we just want to move it down here. And you can see you got a lot more control now, and you don't have to worry about doing too much because it is relatively there anyway. You know, it's sort of following the right kind of path anyway. So any edits you need to make are very minor, you know, as long as they're around the area. So that'll do. That's a really rough one. Actually, I'll put that there. So there you go. That's your basic idea right there, in a nutshell. Amazing, isn't it? Advanced. See how advanced that is? And it's also advanced because it's using, you know, HD footage. Anyway, so now we'll apply our mosaic effect. Go into Stylize, Mosaic, and we'll use a 45 by 45. I like 45. And we shoot sharp colors. And we'll shut this off. And there you go. You pretty much got it. And it's following the face, it's around this sort of area. We can adjust the feather so it's not too harsh. But you know, the more you do it, etc. I like to use a feather of about 100. I mean, it depends on the size, but 74 to 100 is usually not too bad. And if we just play this, I mean, you know, it just gets better and better, doesn't it, these tutorials? But yeah, you know, that is, you know, how it works, really. You know, this is relatively good for quick stuff. So say you have footage and you need to censor out something quickly. You know, if it's a still thing, just do a still motion. You don't have to do any motion tracking, but if you've got like a lot of fast movement, or there's a lot of people moving around, or you're a person, your subject's moving around, and you don't want to sit there, you know, keyframing it, you can just do a motion track. As long as you've got a good motion track, you're fine. Anyway, that is it. You know, I'm not going to say it, but